What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Chel Chit Chat. I'm your host, Lyss Houde. This is the all-Manitoban season here on our show, and this is episode 6. For today's conversation, I am going to be joined by McKiya Mazur. I'm not going to spoil the energy you're about to walk into, but this conversation was a lot of fun. Very high energy, just like McKiya, just like me. And the conversation really tries to encompass the big picture aspect of being involved in hockey and being involved in sport. McKiya has been playing hockey in some capacity for most of her life, playing on the outdoor rink in the pond growing up and then starting to play a little bit more formally with organized boys hockey before spending her senior year of high school in Winnipeg playing high performance and then going on to have a university career at St. Francis Xavier University. McKiya is one of the coolest people I know. She is a strength and conditioning coach now. She had a stint on reality TV that we're going to talk about. And she's genuinely just such a cool, well-rounded person, and so many of the different lessons that she's taken away from life and values she holds near and dear to her heart start and end with lessons she's learned from hockey. This episode does not honestly need much introduction. McKiya takes us on such a fun journey, going through her life, the ups and the downs, and just a true embodiment of the spirit of how important movement is and what it means to love hockey. So without further ado, let's get into it. Make sure if you're watching on YouTube, you like and subscribe, or if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anything like that, you hit that 5-star review and hit the follow, hit the notification bell so you never miss any Chel Chit Chat. Thanks so much for being here, not just today, but for every single episode of this all-Manitoban season so far. Let's get into it. This is how to leverage the tools that hockey gives you here in season 3. Welcome back to Chel Chit Chat, everyone. I am Jazz. Oh my gosh, this one is going to be so much fun. I feel like I don't even know how long we've been sitting here on a quick debrief before we even get to the recording piece. Should have hit recording from the get-go because McKiya is such an interesting person, and you're about to get all of it in this episode right now, and I'm so excited. McKiya, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy freaking Thursday, or whenever this is posted, I guess. But today is Thursday, so the sun's finally coming out, so thank gosh. Because I haven't had a Winnipeg winter in a while, and I didn't realize how treacherous it is. It's very, very painful.
Yeah, it's been a slog this winter for sure. I feel like we've been lucky a few of the past couple years where it's like, oh, like this one hasn't been so bad, but I feel like this year it's just kind of like dragged on forever, It's like maybe it's not like minus 40 every single day, but it's like I would like to see a little bit of sun, like I'd like to see a little bit of sun. But
please God,
it's spring, like we're getting into it, and the summer's great. I love summers in Winnipeg, but you mentioned that you haven't had a lot of winters in Winnipeg in the last little bit because look, I like to diagnose myself as the queen of side quests, but I feel like I've kind of met my match in this particular situation. Like we're gonna have a lot to talk about and just kind of your life, the side quests that you go on all the time. So tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of what your background is in hockey, and just kind of everything about what you do now, who you are, and what you kind of bring to the table.
All right, amazing. Okay, well, first off, McKiya Mazur. Some people call me Mazur, not Mazur, but I go McKiya Mazur because it sounds better, in my opinion. I grew up on a farm outside of Russell, Manitoba, like right in the boonies, right in the thick of it. Grew up, older brother, 3 boy cousins, tomboy, always outside, sports, active, never inside, kind of thing. And always wanted to be like my older brother and my older cousins who all played hockey. And I was figure skating, and I was like, what's this? This looks way more fun and cooler, right? So naturally, when you turn 9 or 10 and you play your first hockey game in figure skates and you like it a lot, you end up playing rec hockey with the boys. And then you play boys because there's no girls hockey, and you're always the only girl or one of 2 or potentially maybe 3 girls on your team, which was exactly the case until I was probably 13. And then finally, when I was 14, and I was like, dang, we have a girls team now, Yellowhead Chiefs out of Shoal Lake. I started playing bantam there, and even prior I played some like house league and like Birtle and Foxhorn, like every small cold rink you can imagine in that area of Manitoba I was in, which is a blessing. You get some thick skin because of it. Also playing with the boys, you get thick skin. But yeah, fast forward, I played hockey throughout high school with the Yellowhead Chiefs until I was in grade 11. And then come grade 12, I was approached with an opportunity to play at the rink in Winnipeg. They had their first year of the female program there, part of the Canadian Sports School Hockey League, and it just was like magic. And I was like, what do you mean this is sports science in the gym? And I was obsessed with the gym. I was obsessed with moving my body and working on just being strong. So I was like, this is so cool. And high key was more excited about the way the gym looked than, well, of course, the rink, but I was like so fired up about that side of it.
Priorities, yeah.
Yeah,
Getcha.
yeah. And then fast forward out of that, we'll just keep on trucking. And I made it my goal when I was younger to play collegiate hockey because that's what you do. And that's, at least I knew I could do that. I didn't realize there was a professional league that would ever be a thing. So I set my goal on college hockey, and that was always my goal, to play in Canada. I wanted to stay in Canada. I know there's always the hype about America, but I was like, I want to play 5 years. I don't want to play 4, I want to play 5, right? So I ended up committing to St. FX in Nova Scotia and played hockey there. Go X go. Get a little X ring when you're done.
Oh, yeah.
But along the way of all of that, I played a lot of spring hockey and also Team Manitoba. Had that whole experience as well through the POE program. But then, yeah, at St. FX, whirlwind of a time with COVID, just like everyone else. Ended up only using 3 years of eligibility because I broke my collarbone and then tore my ACL in my senior year. And that led me to my first side quest of many, which was studying abroad in Prague to finish my undergrad. But along the way, I also competed on a reality TV show called Canada's Ultimate Challenge. And then when I was done that and done Prague, I went to Asia and backpacked. And then when I came home, I spent about 4 weeks here in Winnipeg and then went out to Toronto and worked at an NHL gym called Gary Roberts Performance Center. And now I'm back as a coach now at the rink at Testify, where I played when I was in high school, which is the craziest thing in the world. Full circle.
Full circle, and not without the random juts out from the path along the way. So many different things that we're going to talk about. Boom, 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 all the way across. And we're going to start all the way back at the beginning and talk a little bit about playing hockey, kind of growing up in rural Manitoba. You and I are both from, towns that don't have stoplights, all that different fun stuff. And so I totally hear you in terms of a lot of what you do when you grow up in rural Manitoba is kind of just, well, that's a thing that's available, so let's participate in it. Let's have fun. This is what my friends are doing. This is what the neighbor is putting on. Like, why don't we do it? And I feel like you discover a lot of things that way, which is so, so much fun. But you definitely didn't have, this whole idea of specializing and training for high performance hockey because you're going to make a pro league at the age of 6 years old for the first, the next 10 years of your life and stuff. So tell me a little bit about kind of how you got interested in the sport, how you helped yourself kind of get your body ready to play multiple different sports, all this different stuff, just without the specialized training path at a young age and just kind of leaning into the fun of sport and how that helped you.
Yeah, I think it literally started with like growing up on a farm. Like that's just it. It was like you're outside all the time, you're biking, you're quadding, you're exploring, whatever it might be. And like having an older brother and older cousins like that, I just want to be as cool as them and as strong as them. They're always doing cool things. And because of that, like all I did literally in my spare time, I was outside, I'd go for a run with my dogs. Like that was just the norm. I was fortunate enough that my mom in little Angusville, Manitoba was my figure skating coach and that my dad was the rec hockey coach. So it was always like my dad was with the boys and my mom was with me in the figure skating. And my parents were awesome. Of course, they'd clear off the pond by our house, literally walk like 200 meters down the road. And we literally would just shovel it off and me and my brother would skate. He'd have his hockey stick, I'd have my figure skates, whatever it would be. And I think just having a really solid relationship with movement and like just being outside is like the base of everything, which I can't emphasize enough in this day and age. Like kids need to learn how to move their bodies first. Specialization isn't a damn thing if you can't even like absorb your own body weight from a jump or throw a ball, like little things like that. Literally having a trampoline, like things like that like I think is so lost at this time when I see now in my career kids specializing so early. But bringing it all back, it was like I was on the ice all the time, either a pond or an Angusville rink, which is like a population of 200 people in that town, and I was just fortunate enough to be on skates a lot of the time. And then also being in a school that I have 20 kids in my class, like you have to play every sport in order to compete against other teams in your school division. So naturally you just play everything, right? As you know. So
oh, definitely, yeah. It's like you have to play basketball or else there won't be a basketball team. We're like, oh my gosh.
Like, I don't even know how to dribble, but yeah.
Oh, sure. Whatever works. No, totally. I actually, Kay, I want to talk a little bit about figure skating because this is something that my dad, he played hockey growing up. My dad's a really good skater. And he would tell me, he's like, yeah, like, my dad, so I guess it would have been my grandpa, forced his teams to take figure skating lessons because he's like, you guys are going to be the best skating team in the league and everything. And they were all so good at backward skating and all that different stuff. Yeah. How did you find the transition was from figure skating to hockey? And like, I don't know about you, like I started playing ringette, like that's my sport, at the age of like 7 or 8, which is, or maybe 8 or 9, I don't remember, but like most of the girls started playing at like 5. So it was like definitely the physical skills of the sport. I was a little bit of a step behind, but I had the basis of the skating. So it's like, okay, at least you can keep up a little bit, and the physical literacy that you develop when it comes to the actual, you know, sport specific skills that will come, but having that basis of the skating helped me. And I'm assuming you could probably say the same for your figure skating background.
100%. I think the best thing about me, like in my actual then university career, like I was a great skater, I was fast. And like I do attribute that to like all the other cross training I did and sports I did, but also like figure skating and having good edges and all that. Like that's huge. And that was always the thing with my mom. I'd be figure skating. She's like, you're going too fast. Like you're choppy. Like you need to be more. And I'm like, I can't. Like I just want to go fast. Right. So I guess that's when you know, you know. But I do believe that like having that base and getting taught edge work and all those things properly, and like how to have, once again, back to like long-term athlete development, control of your body and balance and proprioception, all those things that come with skating, especially figure skating, is a sick base that really helped me as I got older and then played hockey.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that athlete development piece is so huge. And don't get me wrong, like I'm sure anyone who works with specialized 7-year-olds, like they have those things in mind and they're thinking about it and everything, and it's all about, like, I know when I was doing volleyball coaching and stuff, like there's so much emphasis in the early ages about like developing motor skills and stuff that you just straight up don't have when you're 6 or 7 years old. But yeah, it's definitely interesting how the progression has changed. Like I'm sure you saw when you were working in your NHL gym in Toronto and all these different things where it's like, yeah, like everything is about hockey if you play hockey, whereas before it was like all the boys who played hockey played baseball in the summertime when the rinks melted and stuff like that. And I'm curious, kind of moving towards your post-secondary experience and getting towards playing higher performance hockey. What did you like about playing high performance hockey? And obviously you said you kind of set out that goal of playing collegiate hockey. You wanted to play at the U Sport level. Finger snaps for the I want 5 years of eligibility over 4, because so true. Like that's way more fun. You get more bang for your buck in that capacity.
Maybe I also wasn't good enough to play Div 1, but also I was like, oh, 5 years.
Some people go down in the US and play like Div 4, and it's like you spend like, you know, 6 figures on tuition. Staying in Canada, you get to go to the East Coast, have some fun. So tell me a little bit about that experience and kind of what it was like playing university hockey here in Canada.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing about playing post-secondary anywhere is like you just, number one thing is you need to find the place that works for you, the place that feels like home. Like I think that's a big thing, and why I find it kind of crazy when girls and younger girls are committing so early, and or you commit somewhere that you don't even know that you're gonna like when you're older, for the sake of committing to a team. I think that was something that was kind of happening early on. But it's like I think prioritizing touring schools that you want to potentially go to, and also making sure they have the program you're interested in. Like at the end of the day, like yes, you're going there for hockey, but you're also going there for your education, which is the biggest thing. And it's like you need to like where you are, because you're going to be there for 4 or 5 years, right? So when I did tour St. FX, number one, Willie Joe Sofan, shout out the assistant coach, he called me up. Literally, it was like a cold call. I'm like, hello? And I heard about St. FX because, full circle moment, my friend Chloe Alexic, who's my best friend who I ended up going to Europe and Asia with, she committed there before me, and I played Team Manitoba with her. And I remember calling her and texting her, and I was like, "Kate, tell me about St. FX. Like, what do you know? Like, you committed. Like, what were the vibes like?" She's like, "You have to go tour. You're gonna love it. It's such a small town vibe. It feels like home." I'm like, "Okay, sick." And I kid you not, like going there, like literally, I was just like, after the first day, after meeting the coaches, I'm like, why do these guys feel like they're my uncles? Like, why are the girls so damn nice? And why are we at this tiny little restaurant, like having breadsticks? Like, what is this like donair sauce? Like, where are we right now? It's all East Coast stuff. But I think that's the thing. I remember going back to the hotel and like looking at my mom. I was like crying. I'm like, I'm committing here. Like, I'm going here. It just feels right. And that's just it. I think when something's right, it just feels right. And that's it. But also growing up in a small town, it's like you value community, you value having connection, you value seeing the same people, which is a blessing and a curse at a really small university, but also more of a blessing. It's like you have such close relationships. So going out to the East Coast also was just magical. The people are so kind. But the hockey side of things, I think that's the other thing. It's like you realize that you're on a team with a bunch of girls you don't know. You're now at the bottom of the food chain again, and it's COVID, so you can't even play games. So the whole role and identity thing's can be pretty scary and pretty like messy and like intimidating, right? But I think that's why it's so exciting. It's like you reach the next level and then you're back at the bottom and then you get to climb again, which is like really fun. And I think that's the whole point. So uni hockey's the best. Yeah.
It's so interesting. I'm like, this is like a really random callback to an episode we did last season, but I had Lexi LaFleur Brown come on the show and we were talking a little bit about she's a hockey romance author and all these different things. And she was talking about kind of like NHL WAG life and talking about how, you're being thrown into this community and you want to turn it into community because that's how you're going to get the most out of it. And so with all the different like wives and girlfriends of NHL players, the thing you have in common is that like your husbands play on a team together. Whereas the husbands, they have the same situation where sometimes, free agency, trade, whatever, you're also being thrown into a new place and trying to find community. But you have this really foundational thing that ties you together. Whereas for the women, sometimes it's a little bit different in this particular situation because they don't have that same like common objective. They don't have that same like base value. They're such different people. And like the thing that they have in common is that their husbands play on a team together. But it's not even like they have the same husband, like their husbands are different people and they have all these different things, right? So it's like it's a very, very different scenario than when you're thrown into a new environment, but you have this common thing that kind of ties you all together. So what was it kind of like getting to know your new teammates and making these new friends and trying to kind of find that meaning? That COVID angle, I'm sure, just throws a wrench in everything, but kind of what you leaned on from your previous experiences with the sport. It's like, hey, this is what I know I bring to the table. This is the type of teammate I know that I am, and all those different things to try and kind of hit the ground running when you enter this brand new environment across the country.
I think the biggest thing for me that actually helped was year prior, of course, I was at the rink here in Winnipeg. So I moved away from home. That is like the biggest thing that I'm grateful I did. Also previously, like every summer I'd have to move away from home or like spend days and time away from home to train out of Brandon, Manitoba, which is 2 hours from where I grew up. So I was just used to being gone. You know what I mean? Like I was good on my own. I was really independent, and being in Winnipeg really helped me transition. Okay, I'm living away from home. I have to do things by myself, XYZ. So me transitioning into St. FX, like, and going to a place like a flight away from home, like far away from home, I was excited. I was like, this is another opportunity. I'm so pumped, right? How could you not be? And also then I realized that St. FX is also a super social school.
Totally.
But the crazy side was it was COVID. So when we arrived on campus, our parents were only allowed an hour to drop us off, move us in, and then we had to isolate for 2 weeks in an apartment style residency with 3 other girls on our team, four girls total, that we all didn't know each other at all. Like I knew Chloe decently well, but not as obviously not close. But we were 4 girls that didn't know each other, and we were stuck in literally it was like prison for 2 weeks. We had an hour outside each day, or we got our food delivered. We had a COVID test each day. It was horrible. Absolutely traumatic, actually. And it was like 30 degrees in our apartment because we didn't have AC. So it was like the craziest experience ever. But then after that, getting thrown into then practices with all these girls that were like so talented, so much older, and have been there forever, and like you respect them a lot, but also you're like, okay, well, I want to prove myself, I want to be the best I can be, all these things, but you don't have a season. It was mentally crazy because once COVID happened, it was kind of like all the athletes went one of two ways. It was either people just kept on going, leaning into developing as a player, or it's like, this is the first break we've had in so long, like we're in a party.
Right.
So it was like, holy shit. And then it was like, chill. So it was like that balance, right? It was like everything's new. It's like you want to do both. So naturally, you do both.
Oh, for sure. I feel like that's kind of like peak collegiate athletics is like the work hard, play hard is just like dialed to a bajillion.
It's literally 100% here, and then it's 100% here. Like there's literally nothing in between. There can't be, honestly.
Absolutely, yeah, no, because then you can't. Then you're not going to make the most out of any of it. And what's the point if you're not doing that? But you went through a few different injuries when you were in your university hockey career and stuff like that, and I want to know a bit more about what that experience was kind of like for you. I know a lot of folks, the injuries are the biggest kind of storyline about their athletic experiences and how it can either ruin things or it can force you into perspective you didn't have, and all these different ways that, sometimes they completely end your career, sometimes they just put you on the sidelines for a little while. Tell us a little bit about your injuries and kind of how you went through that process of managing that on the emotional side as well as the physical side of rehabbing everything, and kind of how that impacts your life now as well.
Yeah. It's so funny because you're like, oh, I would have done this if I wouldn't have hurt my knee. And I'm like, well, you hear that and then you actually tear your ACL and you're like, I probably would have done something else if I didn't tear my ACL. But I think throughout the course of my career at university, there were a lot of highs and lows. Man, they don't prepare you for this shit. It's just like the hardest but best years of your life. I think number one, like mentally, I think after COVID and like everything, I like in my second year, once the season came back and like everything was at 100%, I felt like the world, I don't know, everyone went through it hard mentally, but I literally, this was like, I want to say like genuinely like my first big injury was my mental health because I've always had a lot of issues. Just, everyone goes through shit growing up and like things creep up as you get older. But I did go through a point in my first semester of technically my first year of hockey where I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I can't get out of bed. Like, I'm not excited for anything. I don't want to work out. I think that was like the hardest time because I just couldn't understand what was wrong. Ended up at that time literally just taking a step away from the ice and I was like, what's going on? Like what is hockey to me? I ended up getting on medication after like lots of therapy and all this stuff and like that changed my life. Number one is I was on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication, which genuinely helped. It completely changed my life. I was like, oh, actually there was just something wrong with my brain and like that's okay. I think that was like the first big like mental side of sport that I was like, wow, like this is actually why am I having a panic attack on the ice? Like that, and I can't ground myself, I can't do anything. Um, After that, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna have a good rest of my year, and I had a pretty decent like first technically rookie season. And then it was my third year after, which was technically my second year of hockey. And in the first half, I got a pretty bad concussion. Like, I don't know. I've had concussions before, and I was like, oh, okay. I was out for like 3 or maybe 4 weeks, and then it was pretty much Christmas break by then. And I came back, and I was like, hey, I'm good. I'm ready to go. Concussion's done. I'm gonna have a great second half here. And I think it was my second practice back, and I was literally skating as fast as I could. Um, and I stepped on my captain's stick as I was going behind the net. And probably 2 meters away from me was the boards, and I fell like this, hard as I could, completely snapped my collarbone. It was like overlapping 3 inches, and I was like in the craziest shock of my life. Everyone thought I was just laughing because I'm a very loud personality and I'm known to be that energy on the ice and just in the dressing room, everything like that. But I like fully just, yeah, completely broke my collarbone in half. Ended up getting surgery. I got a plate and 7 screws in my shoulder, and I was told this is going to be 6, 8, and then 10 full weeks until you're back. And I was like, what do you mean? Nationals are in 6 weeks. By the time I got surgery and everything like that, so I ended up playing at nationals. It wasn't fully healed, but I had a plate and 7 screws in there, and my surgeon gave me a yellow light. I'm like, I'm taking that as a green. So that was my first like really, really, really hard surgery and like injury I've ever been through. I've never broken a bone. I've never had something that hurt so bad in my life. I don't wish that injury upon anybody. And to literally sit and ride the bike for like 5 weeks straight and watch your team, it's like, it sucks because you want to be there for them, but also it's like, why aren't they there for me? And like, I don't know, injuries are really lonely and like no one prepares you for that because you don't ask to get injured, right? But life goes on. So I think it was the hardest thing, the hardest injury I was ever given up to that point in my life. And I was like, yay, played at Natty's. It was a great experience. Went to Montreal, got sixth. Like it was a vibe. It was a really cool experience because I was scared. What if I never get to play at nationals again? But because of that, I never got to play playoffs. And then fast forward my now senior year and it was my fourth year, which is only my third year of eligibility. Same thing. I was just came back after like really good off season, like feeling good. And I was like, been through hell last year. Let's just have fun. And that was the literal only thing I promised myself. I'm like, if you can go to the rink every day and have fun, then you're doing your job, right? So went through that year, had a great year with the girls. I was just like, I kind of like made peace. I'm like, you know what? If this is my last year, that's okay. I wanted to play five, and I thought about it because that's how I landed my credits. I'm like, I'm gonna play five if I can, and if I'm feeling good, and if I'm healthy, right? Um, Come my last regular season game, 3 minutes or 6 minutes left in our game. I fell and I stood up, and a girl kind of had contact on me as I stood up, and I heard a pop, the loudest pop I've ever heard in my life. And I was like, I just tore my ACL. And the trainers were like, no, you didn't. I'm like, no, like I know for a fact I just tore my ACL. It's gone. Like it has to be. Like there's no other sound that my knee could possibly make. And sure enough, MRI comes back about 2 weeks later, and yeah, fully torn ACL. So they rush ordered me a brace. So then again, couldn't play at playoffs. They wanted to rush order me a brace for the chance for me to maybe play the last playoff game. And I remember it was our last playoff game, game 5, do or die, AUS finals. They rush ordered my custom brace from California to New Brunswick. They got it to Fredericton, New Brunswick. We played at 7 o'clock that night. They got it there at 12. The bus drove me and one of my coaches and my 2 best friends, which is my athletic trainer Ariel and our equipment manager Julia, the biggest PWHL fan you'll ever meet in your life. They drove us to open ice, open skate, and I put that brace on. It was the first time I skated in 5 weeks without an ACL. And I went back to the hotel and I was getting therapy done. And my coach comes into the room and he said, okay, you can, if you want to, because I know how much it means to you, you can play tonight, but you'll be taking someone out of the lineup. I still feel in my heart. I'm like, oh shit. So I ended up going on for warm up and I didn't play and I let the girls play. And I remember watching in the stands, watching them lose in double overtime. And it was like the saddest experience of my life, I think, because I've never had the energy of playoffs in my life. And I just wanted that so bad. And fast forward, Nationals, Saskatoon. Um, I was like, okay, I'm gonna play it in nationals. It'll be the last time. I just had to make peace with it at that point. I was like, I think this is gonna be the last time I play hockey, because my parents get to watch, and it'll be amazing. So that's exactly what we did. I played my last regular season games with the St. Effects at Natty's with my big old brace on.
That's
So
crazy. That's
I know,
some pretty
insane.
rotten luck kind of across the board with
I
a lot
know,
of different
right?
stuff. But man, but I gotta say though, making that call kind of at the end to not play, like I think back to the Four Nations face off with the NHL 2 years ago when Matthew Tkachuk was like held together by duct tape and band-aids and he's like, I'm gonna play, and like Kyle Connor and these other guys are like healthy scratches and he played like 3 minutes, and it's like, man, like someone else could have gone out there and actually made a
No,
difference. And
yeah.
it takes a lot of, I think, humility to be able to make that decision for the team and put their best interests ahead of your own, even though you, like you said, that would have been, your chance, but you knew that that wasn't probably what the team needed from you. And who knows what could have happened if you had played that. Like maybe you could have done, more damage and all this different stuff, because
Yeah,
it
no,
could have been a
yeah.
huge rush back. You have no idea. But
Yeah.
that's crazy. I want to know though how, like, in your life now, and we're gonna get into that a little bit, talking a bit about what the last little bit post hockey has looked like for you and stuff, but what were some of the lessons you learned and like mindset shifts that you adopted and stuff like that from going through those injuries and going through that recovery? You talked about the loneliness, you talk about the frustration, all these different things. How do you find that those lessons have kind of helped in your day-to-day life now? Because like there are certain things, maybe it's not the exact same situation as being on a team, rehabbing an injury, but going through that frustration is a thing that you can experience in personal relationships or at work and all this different stuff. And I'm just curious how you as a person feel like you've shaped your experiences because of going through those injuries in hockey.
Yeah, damn.
That's deep, eh? It's profound.
Yeah, but it's legit and it applies to everything. I think that the only thing in life that is certain is that shit is not going to go the way you plan it. That's the only thing. Something's going to happen. There's going to be a new obstacle. Something's going to knock you down. And I think that it's like your mind and your ability to believe in yourself and to know that like everything will be okay is your mind's the most powerful thing about you. So I think literally it's just like you knock me down 9 times, I'm gonna get up 10, and like uh, that's just how you got to go. And I think that you have to keep momentum, and that's why I think it's come full circle for me that although I couldn't always have hockey, I always had movement. And that's why I'm so passionate about it today. It's like when I broke my collarbone, I was lifting and biking with 3 limbs. When I tore my ACL, I was on a rower and I had a slide board under my heel. Like the only thing you have and your God given right is to move your body, and it's medicine. And I just think that because I kept moving, in whatever way I could, that's literally what saved me. Like that's why I think I'm so passionate about the gym and movement and injury rehab and like connecting with others. And I know how much it sucks and how much it hurts to be able to still move, but also not be able to do the sport you love. But at least at the end of the day, you can still move your body, and there's always a way to still keep moving in the right direction. And that doesn't actually just mean movement, but that means whatever you're going through, as long as you believe in yourself and like can honestly just take control of your mind and like know that not everything your mind's telling you is true, that if you do tell yourself you can do something, you will be able to do it. And the same is true if you tell yourself the opposite. And yeah, I don't know. And that's why that's where I am today. And I wouldn't have a strength and conditioning job. I wouldn't be in this role, honestly. And I wouldn't have the empathy and the relatability and like all these things that I can use with my clients and like relate to my clients with and my athletes with, that like, I know how bad that sucks. And I know that I will never exactly know how you specifically feel, but I do know how bad it hurts and how much you want to be playing whatever sport you're doing or doing whatever you were doing prior. And it's like, yeah, I think I think injuries teach you that there's going to be obstacles and the only way is through. So
Yeah, I think that's really
keep moving.
powerful. Like all those different components about so many variables in your life are going to change and they're out of your control and all that
Mhm.
different stuff, but like your body, your home, the thing that you live in, like, you know, it's you, and it's something that, you know, you can continue to move, you can continue to do all those different things. And like you said, not maybe in the same ways that you're accustomed to, not maybe in the same ways that you would like to, but you know, it's more than nothing, and it can help keep
Mhm.
your fundamentals kind of there so that when you are ready to go back, or when things look a little bit different, you know, you're not starting from ground zero, you're starting from a different place. And I want to hear a little bit more about how that factors into what you do now as a strength and conditioning coach, as a trainer, and all that different stuff. You know, you touched on that very eloquently about how it helps you, you know, connect with your athletes and have that added perspective that helps you be there for them and have that empathy for what they're going through and stuff. But how did you decide that this was something you wanted to pursue professionally, you know, going down that coaching route, and how does that kind of look in your day to day right now? And what do you love about it?
Yeah. I think I knew since I was 16. I'm like, I want to help people move their body. Like I literally when I was 13, I started my now Move with Mick coaching account. Used to be called Bod Posy 23 and I had like 11 followers and was
That's the
private. It was
most
also
13-year-old Instagram handle of all time.
Body Positivity 23 because that was my number.
So true.
But I would just post my workouts because I wanted to be strong. And I remember I was like, I guess it was like when I first played boys hockey. I was like 95 pounds soaking wet. And I remember this was when my parents split up and I ended up moving to Russell, like where my school was. I went to my whole life. It was like 30 minutes away from my farm. And I was like, told my mom, like, I was always working out in the basement on the farm, but I'm like, can I get a gym membership? And I think probably at the time it was like you needed to be 16. Your parent had to sign. But I finessed it. Finessed it.
uh,
So I think I was 13 in there. If you go back to the bottom of Move with Mick, you'll see me squatting. It's so funny. I'm like literally this big. And I remember I was like, I don't know who to ask, but I need to get stronger. And there was this guy that was always in the gym, visible bodybuilder, right? Shout out Michael Hollis because he's the guy that got me the strongest ever. And I went up to him. I was so scared. I was like, hi. He's like, hey. And I'm like, do you think you could make me a strength program? And that was it. That was the start of it all. And I ended up like literally, I don't know what it was a month. It was like 100 bucks a month. Like I'll train you and I'll get you so strong. So like 5 days a week, I was in the gym. I was getting stronger. And I was like literally, I think that's summer. I was like, I don't know. I think I was like 14 and I was like split squatting 50s. I swear. Like I was like, I was a dog. And that was it. I was like, this is so cool. And I remember going on the ice after that summer and I was so strong. Like I was like, whoa. I was like doing chin ups in gym class. Like I was like, what's up? Like I was doing really good on the beep test. Then I started working with another teacher who had a son that played at a pretty high level of hockey. He's like, if you want, like I got a group of kids I'm training. Like if you want to come and we'll do hockey workouts. I'm like, yeah. And I was just like, oh my god, you can get so much better at your sport if you do stuff outside your sport. And it was like my first like
yeah,
epiphany.
yeah.
Like, being strong is cool, you know? And literally since I probably think since my first chin up, I remember going to a garage sale and buying a chin up bar. And I was like, when I got my first like pull up, not chin up, pull up, I was like, okay, this is it. That's what I'm doing for life. Um, and like even like having like a super powerful influence of Mallory Matheson, which was like when I played Yellowhead Chiefs, she was our strength coach. I was like, women do this? And I remember saying to her, I'm like, you are Lululemon every single day for your job. And I said, I want your job. And it's the craziest thing in the world because I wear Lululemon every single day. I don't like it's amazing. I'll never wear a blazer in my life. Ever. Can't wait. Can't
There you
wait to
go.
never have to do that. But I think it's so much about like paying it forward to all those people. Like I can't even
Mhm.
believe it. They've completely changed my life and now I get to do this for a living, which is absolutely electric. So
Yeah, that's
can't
so
complain.
cool. I feel
Yeah.
like the way you feel about like wearing Lululemon every single day, that's how I feel about like the idea of being in a hockey rink every single day where it's like I just the concept of like maybe it's, playing the sport, maybe it's sitting and watching, maybe it's whatever. I'm like, but I want to be in a hockey rink every single day. I want my fingers to be a little bit cold afterwards. I want to come out and have a red nose. Like I love being in
Aw.
a hockey rink, smelling a little bit of the sweat. It's like this is a good place to be and it's like, wait, you can do that every single day? Like you don't have to? Like okay, say less. I'll be
No,
there.
literally.
But I really, really do want to honestly, like, it's not even like it builds off of the conversation we just had, but I've been sitting, like, we need to talk about the reality show. We need to talk about the
Oh.
reality show because I, like, it's one of those things that I remember seeing that and being like, sure, what the hell, sure. Like, okay, this is so cool. Like, I loved hearing about it from you about kind of what your experience was like. When you did do, oh my gosh, was Canada's Ultimate Challenge?
Canada's Ultimate
Canada's
Challenge.
Ultimate Challenge. Kate nailed it. Yeah, but and just in terms of how that door kind of opened up for you and what your experience with hockey kind of did to prepare you for that sort of thing, and honestly just what that was like, because that's a crazy thing to have kind of on the resume, just to be able to pull out. You are never ever not going to have a fun fact for the rest of your
No,
life when you sit down
no.
and everyone's like, introduce yourself and you give everyone a fun fact about you. Nailed it. Done.
Never have I ever been on a reality TV show. Yeah,
Put that
like
finger
so funny.
down.
Literally. Yeah. I think, yeah, wow, that was crazy. That coolest, weirdest, randomest, but not that random side quest of my life. I think a lot of my friends know that that's not out of pocket for me. I'm a yes girl. I'm like, if this is gonna give me more life experience, hell yeah, sign me up. Yeah, so what happened was after I tore my ACL, and after like making peace and being like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna study abroad. I remember getting these DMs, and sometimes you get DMs from robots, right? And I was like, is this guy, what is this guy saying? He's sending me links. I'm like, what is Canada's Ultimate Challenge? And I remember it was like I was like the last possible week I could potentially sign up. He's like, we already know who you are. We think you'd be a great candidate. Just send in a little like clip of you talking about why you'd be a good fit for the show and like what you'd bring to the table. I was like, it's July 30th, and I was like thinking about my timeline of going to study abroad. I'm like, would I have time to do this if filming started in, I guess it was middle of September? I was like, maybe I could swing this. So eventually I just applied, and I was like, if I'm applying it, I'm gonna get it, and I'm gonna be Team Blue. And that's literally, I literally wrote it down. I'm like, applied for Canada's Ultimate Challenge. I will be Team Blue. Manifest, manifest, manifest. So I remember getting a call from a CBC number. It said like, CBC, and I was like, hello. And it was the head producer, and he's like, hey, McKiya, do you know what date it is? I'm like, Tuesday. He's like, it's Turn Up Tuesday because you just made Canada's Ultimate Challenge. And I was like, oh my God. But it all was a secret. Like I had to keep it a secret for literally
Right.
6 months. So no
I
one
could
was
never.
allowed.
Sorry.
Oh,
I'm. God,
me
no.
and that
I've never
NDA.
kept anything to myself ever.
I was like, this NDA, damn it. No one can know. The people that I can tell, they have to sign an NDA, XYZ. And I was saying to Chloe, because Chloe is my best friend, and she's going to Prague to do semester abroad with me. I was like, dude, like, I got on this reality TV show. Like, I gotta go. And she's like, of course you have to go. But that meant she had to move to Prague by herself, do all those things by herself while I was traveling around Canada. Also, I was off the grid, no phone, no contact outside of the reality TV show
Did people
world.
like
Like, it was
think you were like in rehab or something like that, or like
people
what?
thought I
Like,
died. Yeah.
yeah.
When I got my phone back, I was like, oh my God. But because Chloe was also posting in Europe, and everyone knows we're like this. And they're like, did
Right.
they have a falling out? Like,
What
are
did she
they
say?
okay?
What did she say when people asked her where you
Uh,
were?
that she just said that she's joining me later. She has some stuff going on. That's it.
Okay. Okay. Wow.
So everyone was like up for interpretation. Or like she'd be like, she's good. She's just has to meet me later. I forget what, yeah, something like that. But everyone literally
That's
thought I was
so
just like,
sketch.
right? So when it all started coming out, it all made sense. But this was crazy. The whole premise of the show is of course showcasing Canada, its topography, its beauty, its history, all these things. But the whole premise was, as a team or as like the cast, we didn't know where we were going or what we were doing. That was the whole point of it. So we would literally, number one, we started in Toronto. We had a sequester, which means you stay in a hotel for 5 days. You're alone in a room. You don't have a phone. You don't have any access to the outside world. They literally knock on your door and they pull you for certain things like fittings, biography videos, like just like B-roll, like all this stuff that they need for the show. And that's when we found out our color. I remember walking into the dressing room and I was like, blue, 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 team blue, baby, go let's go. Literally I knew I'd be blue, so it was crazy. I was like, I knew it. I like freaked out. And then eventually all the producers came into a room and they're like, guess where we're going tomorrow? And we had to guess, right? Tofino was the starting location. We had a travel day. And we weren't allowed to talk. That's the whole point of reality TV. We were not allowed to talk to our teammates or the other cast members because one, we didn't know who was on our team, and two, they didn't want any like interactions without the cameras and mics being on us. Yeah. So it was so intense. Like it was crazy. We were given iPod Nanos with AirPods on a leash, little headphones. We had to send in uploaded 150 songs on our little iPod Nano that we had for the whole time we were on the set, essentially, because whenever we were around other people or other players, we had to have them in. We weren't allowed to talk, so they'd say headphones in. That's another insane thing they'd say on reality TV is hard ice, which means no one's allowed to speak. So yeah, and in summary, yeah, it was teams of 4. We were divided on there's 5 teams of 4. Literally, we would show up to set and we wouldn't know where we were going, what we were doing, and our host Brandon, he'd be like, give us like pretty much a Sparks Note version of what the challenge would be, and it'd just be something absolutely freaking outrageous, and then you just had to do it. So I was a puppet for about 5 weeks. It's cool experience in my life. I literally can't explain it. So now when I watch reality TV, and if you have watched Canada's Ultimate Challenge, like it's hard to explain like how legit and emotionally tiring and drained you are and how long these challenges are, because you get a 45-minute episode, but we just filmed 16 hours that day.
Right.
You're on set, you have to be ready. Like it's insane. Like I can't even describe it.
No, that's, oh my gosh. Like I could never. I genuinely could never. Not that, anyone's calling me up and being like, you should come on a physical challenge show. I don't think that that's necessarily
But if you had the chance, go.
If they call me for next season, I will say yes, and I'll say McKiya sent me. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah. No, yeah. That's so crazy. Like I can only imagine that would have just been like all those different layers, and like you said, the kind of emotional exhaustion and all that different stuff. But I'm sure, you already been through a lot, so you're like, hey, why not toss another thing kind of on here?
And did all that with one ACL too. I was like, sign me up.
That's oh my gosh, that's crazy and also awful. It's so funny. Everyone in my life is so sick of hearing from me. I've been very fortunate my entire life. I have not had any like sports injuries, like no concussions, no anything like that. But in volleyball at the beginning of January, I strained my MCL, not sprained, not tore, and as in like it just hurt a little bit, and like it hurt for like, it's like I don't know, like 8 weeks later, whatever. It still hurts, and I'm like, guys, what the like. I'm injured. I'm in pain. I'm on the IR. It hurts so much. No, but it's like crazy. I'm like, whoa, it's nuts when it's like, it pops a little bit on the kind of the inside of your knee and you're like, wow, it really gets really stiff and all this different stuff. And that's just your new reality. It's not like you can shut it off or turn it on or whatever. It's like every single step, every single whatever. Or it's like I'm sitting there and I'm like, it's getting really stiff. I'm not even moving. And I'm like, and that was a women's volleyball league MCL strain. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I've been a little bit hard on people who've had injuries now that I'm like, I'm finally one of them. Me and my MCL strain, you know me.
Hell yeah.
But I just want to have kind of one last conversation before I let you go, because we've definitely been yapping here. This has been so much fun. But just kind of in the women's hockey sphere, and just you were talking about how your goal was to play collegiate hockey because that was the thing to do, and any hockey beyond that was honestly a hobby to a degree, right? It's like it's just a fun thing that you get a chance to do. Obviously it's a high performing hobby and everything like that, but it's very, very different from the landscape of women's sports as we know it today, with hockey as well as other sports in North America here that the landscape of what it looks like for athletes beyond the university level has completely changed since COVID, to be honest with you, if we want to use that as the time mark for this episode. Like, since 2020 and beyond, like, there's just been so many changes in how that's looked. And, you know, you were a high performance hockey player yourself when you were, you know, younger, when you're in the collegiate sphere and stuff. And I just want to hear from you what avenues you think the PWHL opens up for kind of young athletes, people like yourself, and, you know, how you think that if this league had existed the way it does today at the time that you were, you know, in high school and, you know, making these decisions about your future, and how that would have changed the fabric of, you know, your team, your journey, and all this different stuff. And just curious to hear kind of the impact that you see from your perspective and all the different layers of hockey involvement that you have, what it means, and what the future kind of looks like here.
Yeah, I literally cannot believe, but I can believe it because it is so believable now, just how much the world of women's hockey has changed, women's sport in general. Like, oh my gosh, if you're not investing in women's sports now, like, you're a loser. Like, just get out of here. It's amazing. Like, I can't believe it. I think that I'm just so grateful for where it is now. Of course, I wish I could see it and know that I could be it when I was younger, and thought, man, maybe I could play in the PWHL and I could, you know, be a badass and wear these amazing outfits and be strong and be sexy like Lexia Jada and like all this shit that I like, all these amazing women that I'm like, you can be it all. Like, you can. And like, I think literally what really did it for me is when literally I was in grade 11, and this is before I came to Winnipeg. And there was a coach that was part of the program I was in, and I remember him saying to a room full of my team, and then also younger girls, that like, thank your parents, ladies, because you're not going to make $1 playing this sport. Dude, you don't even know how many women are making more money than you right now. Like, it's not even funny. Like, it's amazing. And like, it's that literally, that was the most standout moment of my life, that I'm like, sport is going to be my life, and I'm going to give back to it, to the people who believed in me. And especially, there is no better revenge than success. And it's just like, look what I just did, and look how I'm going to continue to help. This isn't even about me anymore. It's never been about me. It's like, how can I help the next generation and help women feel strong and confident and proud of themselves, and to not be scared to have muscle, and to look like they could beat you up, because, you know, that's cool as fuck. Like, you should be strong and you should be proud of that. It's just amazing. And the PWHL and those women playing in that league, like, they don't even know. They don't know right now. They know some, but they won't ever know how much that their presence and their, I don't know, just their ownership of their role in society right now is like just paving the path for so many young women. Like, it's so amazing. Like, I'm just, and for what you're doing too, and you're just spreading this awareness. So snaps across the board. I just love it. I love badass women that are like, let's freaking go.
No, so totally. Cool. My huge thing is I love it when people do stuff. And I feel like, you know, you and I, we come at this from such a different, like, background. We do very different things. Our days look different, whatever. But, like, the thing that you and I have in common here is that we do stuff. And, like, you know, when you put stuff out there, you know, people are seeing what you're doing, or you're getting involved in communities and all this different stuff. The more stuff that we are doing that people can see, you know, it opens up avenues of consideration, where it's like, maybe I could do that, or maybe someone I know could do that, or maybe, you know, this is something I should look into more, and all this different stuff. And that's the way to go with women's sport, especially kind of going forward, where it's like, kind of that visibility piece is just, it can't be understated. Exactly like you said, that, you know, the impact, we won't even get to see the full extent of what this moment we're living in right now is going to do for the future. And like, that's such a cool thought, and it's so much fun. Right. And I am so happy that we were able to connect on this episode today, because this was so fascinating and so fun and so interesting. And so I thank you so much for your time. This was such a blast. Thank you, everyone, for listening as well. And we're going to see you in the next episode.
Thank you so much for having me.